All right, y'all saw his request. He's saying parents should be blamed if their children live a miserable life. Yes, they should. Who brought the kids here? All right, who put the kids on this planet? And a lot of these parents, they be having children and they be dirt poor. And it's almost as though the more poor people, you see them with the most kids. I'm not sure if y'all noticed that, but you can even read up on this. It's usually like the people that live in poverty, they procreate the most. Why? I have no idea. Maybe because they get some kind of benefits from this. I don't know, but they have the most children, the people that are poor. So all they're doing is, whatever subpar living condition they're in, they bring their children into that. Now the children have to live that subpar living condition. All right, they have to live that impoverished lifestyle, just like the parents. Unless that kid grow up and somehow work their way out of it, but that's very unlikely. Usually if they're brought into that environment, they end up becoming the same way. Okay, this is why children that's born in the hood, usually they end up staying in the hood, just like their family. Every now and then one might get lucky and be able to work their way out of it or be able to improve their situation, but most of them stay stuck there. See? So, and it don't just have to be places like that, just in general, just places around the world, look at these poor countries where the parents, they barely have enough food for themselves. They barely have enough resources for themselves, but they're just so bent on having children, and they bring the children, okay, those poor little children, they bring them into the harsh living conditions and into that terrible environment. So yes, I agree with what you're saying. They should be. I'm sorry if I look stoned right now, by the way. So yes, I do agree with what you're saying. The parents should be blamed, because who else are you going to blame? It's almost as though they don't have any sense. They don't have any sense to see that they live in a terrible living condition. It's almost as though they lack common sense. They're in these horrible living conditions, but they just insist on bringing children into the mix. And like I said, these children have to suffer. They have to struggle. And then a lot of times these kids will become victims of trafficking and all kinds of other stuff. I made a video a while back saying parents should support children for life, and I still stand by that. I think that parents should support children for life. And I use myself as an example. I said if I had a son or a daughter, it don't matter if she or he is 30 years old or whatever, I would give them something each month just to help them out. All right, even if it's just $1,000 each month, I would have that directly deposited into their bank account just to make things easier for them. Okay, because let's admit things are tough out there for so many people. A lot of people are struggling. And even if my children are doing very good financially, I'm still going to give them something just to help them out, but 99% of parents, they don't do that. I do know a few parents that actually do that. Okay. Even if the children live in a different state, these parents will have like $1,000 directly deposited into that kid's bank account. The kids still work. They still have a job and all that stuff, but that's just extra money that they can use. I think that's like the least you can do. And it don't even have to be $1,000. It can be like $100 or just something to help out, because there's a lot of kids out here struggling and they don't get no kind of help or support from their parents. And I have parents that actually watch this channel and they say that they support their children no matter what, and that's great. There should be more people like you all. That's great what you're doing, but that's what I would do if I was a parent. I would definitely support my children. Then a lot of kids just don't want to work at all, but kids that don't want to work, I'm talking about, when I say kid, I don't mean like little kid. I mean like maybe 20-year-old, a 20-year-old, 22-year-old, 25-year-old. I can't blame them, because they didn't ask to be put here. They didn't ask to be put on this planet. So, usually people will call someone lazy for having that mentality. Sometimes it can be laziness with some people, but some people genuinely just don't want to work because they have no motivation. But they don't see any real incentive to doing these jobs and putting up with all the BS. But I don't blame those people, because they didn't ask to be here in the first place. The parents made the decision. The parents looked at this planet we're on, and for whatever reason decided they needed to add another person to it. So if that person grew up, decide they don't want to be part of the corrupt system, they don't want to participate in it, can't blame them. I'm sure most of you can't either. I'm sure most of you probably feel the same way. You go to a job you hate and you ask yourself, why did my mom and dad put me here? That's probably what you're asking. And I don't blame you, because a lot of people don't mind. I'll venture to say most of humanity don't mind participating, but it's that few, it's that small percentage, like you guys that watch this channel, don't want to participate in none of this. You don't want to participate in the 9-to-5 wage system, the corrupt system. You don't see any incentive. You do not see any incentives with it. You don't see any real benefits. You just see it as a way to get stressed out, pay your bills, and do it all over again. And I'm gonna make another video talking about 2 days off is not enough, because it's not enough. It's one thing if you're retired and all that. We're not talking about retirees, but 2 days off is not enough. Everyone should be getting at least 3 days off. I think 2 days off, it doesn't suffice, because think of how much stress you're dealing with, at the 9-to-5 job. Think of how much work you're doing there. With only 2 days off, you can't really get caught up on rest, for one. And let's say you have personal things to do in your personal life, and like I was saying long ago, it's not even really 2 days off. It's more like 1 day off, because it's really just Saturday, because Sunday you have to make preparations to start it all over again. And then you have that Sunday anxiety, just like with school. You have that Sunday anxiety. You don't want to go in, but you got to go in. So although it's 2 days off, I always considered it 1 day off, because let's think, you're working Friday. All right, so Friday's the last day of the work week. You're working Friday. That you only get half the day with Friday. All right, you get off work at 5 o'clock. You got a few hours, and that's really about it for Friday. Saturday is like, okay, Saturday, that whole day is open, but Sunday, you got to go to bed early, just like being in school. You got to go to bed at a decent time. Let's say you have to be at work at 7. You're not going to stay up till midnight. You're not going to stay up till 10 o'clock Sunday night. You're going to be going to bed early. Then you got that Sunday anxiety. You don't want to go to work in the first place, and you're dreading it. Sundays are probably the worst. I say Sunday is worse than the work week itself, because you're off, but you're dreading. That's a terrible feeling. You're dreading about going to work that next day. So, but I'm gonna make a video talking about that Sunday anxiety, and how you really only have just 1 day off. Even with school, you only have just 1 day off, 1 full day, and that's Saturday. But yeah, back to the topic. Y'all know I get off topic a lot. Yeah, kids, I'm sorry, parents should be responsible if the kids have a miserable life, because they didn't want to be here, and they have to deal with all this. Again, most people don't mind, but like I said, it's a group, it's a small percentage. I say maybe like 5%, it's probably less than that, that think like people that watch this channel, and they don't want to participate in any of that, but the parents subjected them to it, so now they got to do it. They're forced to do it. And even like I was saying earlier, the kids that are brought into harsh living conditions and the kids that are brought into poverty, it's all because of the parents. It should be some kind of law that if you don't earn a certain amount, or depending on your living conditions, if your living conditions are subpar, you shouldn't be allowed to have children, because the children are going to suffer because you brought them into that. It should be some kind of law. They'll never do it, but it should be something like that, you know, because I see, I spoke about this also a while back. I see parents that are barely scraping by, but they'll have like 4 or 5 kids, little kids, not teenagers. They'll have like 4 or 5 kids. And, you know, you just have to scratch your head, be like, okay, if they're barely making it, like, why would they have children? They have more mouths to feed. They can hardly feed themselves, but they have more mouths to feed now with all these children. What are they doing? You see? And like I said before, it's always those type of people that have the most children, or so it seems. I could be wrong, but it seems as though that's the case. But yeah, I agree. Parents should be responsible. You know, and to the parents that do support and help your children, shout out to you, because that's great. You know, more parents should be like that, but that's just not going to happen. So that's all I got for this one. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one.